Business Focus, as always, we get to talk business right here as we have Kudzie in the studio. Morning to you, Kudzie. How are you?
Good morning, Tinashe. Good morning, Pakistan.
Great. Thank you. All right. So it's Business Focus, as always. Let's begin with the Zimbabwe Stock Exchange update. It's the third day of the week now.
Thank you, Tinashe. So at the moment, what I can say is that the Zimbabwe Stock Exchange is not for the faint-hearted.
Why so?
Yeah, because the bulls are the bears rather are dominating. It's been a tough week for investors, but it's always how you look at it. If you are looking at getting into the market, unochitosekerera kuti yes, dai zvaramba zvichidonha nditenge zvakachipa. But if you're someone who has been in the market for a while and you are probably looking at selling some of your shares, it then becomes painful when the market is coming off as much as it is doing at the moment. It's really been hit hard. It's a buyer's market, and buyers are dictating the prices at which stocks are trading. So just to give you the numbers, the all share index down by 6.12%, but people are mostly selling the big cap stocks, the big companies. Anyway, those are the companies that trade regularly. They are the liquid companies, and almost every day they do trade. And the top 10 index was down by a massive 10.2%. That's big, even though it's in Zim dollar terms, but that's big, especially for an investor who has struggled to get any positive movements on the market. It is underperforming when you look at in terms of inflation. It is underperforming when you look at it in terms of currency depreciation, and to then lose again by 10.2% yesterday. I think it's something that is not easy to stomach for investors who are looking at cashing out, or who have already invested and are looking at reaping the rewards of their investment. But for some, they keep investing. The reason why the market is like this, maybe to give it context, the reason why the market is like this, it comes back to the issue of a macroeconomic fundamental that is there, which is the limited availability of the Zimbabwean dollar. The market, the economy is now trading mostly in US dollars. We speak of figures of more than 90% in US dollars. So people are now saving in US dollars, making extra back in US dollars. And yet they are supposed to invest on our stock market, which is the Zimbabwe Stock Exchange, which is trading in Zim dollars. So even if you work today, Tinashe, and you are paid some US dollars, for you to invest on the Zimbabwe Stock Exchange, you have to liquidate your US dollars for you to be able to do that. And I don't think most people wouldn't want to part with their US dollars, unless you are really thinking as an investor. You would see the opportunity that you are buying these companies. These companies, remember, they are not when they are trading, when they are selling their products, when they are providing their services, they are not trading in Zim dollars exclusive. They are trading in that 90% US dollar that we are talking about. But you have the opportunity to buy them using the Zimbabwean dollar. So for those who are earning an extra Zim dollar, and those who have got a higher risk appetite to say I can exchange my US dollars for Zim dollar, I think this is a fantastic opportunity to be investing on the Zimbabwe Stock Exchange. But speak to your financial advisor, speak to your stockbroker, and get more information with regards to that. But yeah, that's how the Zimbabwe Stock Exchange. The biggest losers were Hippo Valley, down 15%. Hippo Valley, I'm sure those who have been following the newspapers or news, you have heard about the business community, especially in that sector, sugar sector. They are complaining that there's been a flood of imported sugar that is selling at lower prices than our own local sugar, I haven't seen. I'm not sure. Maybe if you have seen, you can tell us. If you got a picture, maybe you can send that on our WhatsApp platform to just send pictures of the imported sugar that people are talking about. Yes. So there was a story yesterday that was dominating the news to say the local sugar producers here in Zimbabwe were complaining that imported sugar is killing the local industry. So Hippo Valley is one company that is that is into that space. They in Triangle there. They produce sugar both for exports and for table sugar. So it was the biggest loser there on the stock market, down by 15%. Seedco also down by 14.64%. Seedco is into maize seed production, and we are hearing of El Nino. And some investors will be saying, okay, this company is unlikely to make money, because when farmers hear that kune drought, farmers will limit the amount of production. So Seedco is likely to be affected by that. It could be a reason why it was down 14.64% yesterday. Also, other losers were Delta down 14.2% and CBZ down 12.59%. So that's how the ZSE traded yesterday.
Okay. So Kudzie, there's a question on our WhatsApp platform. Maybe you might have answered it partly, but it says, what is happening to the Zimbabwe Stock Exchange stocks? From yesterday's trading, I saw all shares, top 15, top 10 indices were all in the red. Are we in the season of profit taking, or it is a temporary bearish run? Usually the stocks are a good inflation hedge, but we see prices going up, depreciation of the local currency, but at the same time, shares losing value. What's going on?
Thank you. I think we have partly answered that already. But he spoke about whether there is profit taking. Yes, on any given day, there could be someone taking profit, because our entrance point into a market are different. Mwanogona ngakapinda recently and akatoita some gains because pane pakambo move a market a few weeks ago. But mwakapinda, when you look at from a long term, maybe someone who entered into the market in January. I don't think there are very few people who entered the market in January. On average, the Zimbabwe Stock Exchange, on average, is in the negative territory when you factor in inflation, when you factor in currency depreciation. Yes, nominal figures is positive, but when in real terms, when you factor in inflation and currency depreciation, then not many people would have made profits on the Zimbabwe stock. So it's not profit taking, but it's those other fundamentals that I spoke about it. Okay.
All right, so you've got questions. Feel free to drop them up on our WhatsApp platform 0719 100404.
Yevi. So Kudzie, my price of sugar is it because sugar iripo iri pamagrocery akanzi anokwanisa kupinda mahara duty free antakwanisa kwanisa kuota magrocery edu pasina mari yekubhadhara?
I might not remember exactly where the sugar was there, but I think all basic commodities.
It falls in the basic commodities.
Yes, it's a basic commodity. So it could be. It could
be.
So it's the factors of factors of production patisani anenge aripo in different markets. So in South Africa they can produce things like sugar, things like milk. They could be producing them cheaper than us. In Mozambique it's the same, because even here to Tonga Ona Hippo Valley here in Zimbabwe, they also have farms in Mozambique. So if they're producing cheaper there, maybe ours is expensive, and then goes with greediness as well.
So Mumarunyora Panabanzi Hippo complains about imported sugar, but they are an exporter. You are an exporter yourself. Fight for the market, not being a crybaby.
fair point. I think fair point that has been raised there, because Hippo, they actually export their sugar, and they
want to safeguard their interests.
Yes.
Let us be the sole.
And interestingly, when the new Minister of Industry and Commerce was announced, and the players in the industry, local industry players, were asked to say, so what are we going to contribute to it? Remember, they had a meeting yesterday with the new minister, and then they will have another one too in Blawa tomorrow. But in Harare, they had a meeting yesterday with the new minister. And one of the things that the local manufacturers and industrialists were crying for, to say, we must go and talk about this with the minister, was the issue of saying, nyaya makaita yekuvhurira mabhodha yatukuvadza as an industry. So in other words, they're saying they are not competitive. So it could be they are not competitive from a company specific kuti varitorowo zvavo ma inefficiencies avo, but our local environment also might not be conducive for them to be competitive. We talk of your infrastructure, tinogara tichitaura munomu kuti ma distribution costs in Zimbabwe, they are higher than in other markets. Tine roads akazara ma potholes, ma roads ane ma traffic jams. It increases the cost of production goes up. So there are many other things that comes in to the cost of production that might make us uncompetitive as a country.
Okay, Kudzie, let's look at the tobacco sector in the eyes of TSL. What's going on?
Yeah, so TSL is one of the companies that are listed on the Zimbabwe Stock Exchange. TSL is they own one of the largest tobacco auction floors in Zimbabwe. That's TSF. I'm sure most of you know that. So I thought it's interesting to just see. We have said that most of the tobacco that is produced in Zimbabwe is funded by foreign contractors, and these foreign contractors are the ones that are getting the biggest chunk of the profits that can be made in the tobacco sector. But it's also interesting to see what other companies are doing in order to also benefit from that cake. And TSO is one company that is benefiting, apart from having the tobacco sales floor, where farmers who freely grow their tobacco can go and sell. What they've done now to also benefit, they are going to those contractors and say, instead of you guys wasting your time muchitengesa tobacco and grading and whatever, we can do it for you. So they are offering their services and they are benefiting from that. That resulted in them in the tobacco that they handled. It went up by 125%. So this is the company that is thinking, okay, the auction flows are dying in terms of as a business, but let's offer services to the contractors. So they are benefiting from the contracted tobacco, and volumes for them went up by 125%. And then they also sell what you call it, Yavanoti Hessian. I think it was Masaga, if I'm not mistaken. And they're saying their volumes went up by 17% because we had a large tobacco crop this season. So they managed, they are producing that and they are selling it. And then kune chipepa chekaki futi chechi. Mukamboenda kuma tobacco auction floors unochiona pane chipepa chekaki chavanochi chine zita racho. But I think chimwe chacho not coated. Vanochi coated paper. Kune coated paper yavanoshandisa. And they are saying my volumes grew by 90%. So this is a company that is taking advantage of the tobacco sector and benefiting.
But kudziya yekusponsor yakusikubatira munhu here, because handisina choice nyangwe zvikanzi price yakwira sei yaita sei. In fact kuti ndakaita contract newe, I'm obliged to fulfill that contract regardless of what the prices are.
Thank you, Patsani. My contracts might not be fair. Atingazvirambe. But remember kuti contract inoiswa pamberi pako Patsani wotoisa signature. And why? Maybe because they are desperate. Sign out, okay, even if you see kuti my inputs are overpriced, but you are not choice because I want to beg. Kudara, in the past, when farmers had my title deeds, had my long-term leases, they could go to the banks and borrow from local banks. But local banks, they've remained adamant kuti no, Patsani is risky, kuti ndimpe mari yangu azondizosera. And it has happened before in other, like ukaenda kuwheat, ukaenda kumaize. It has happened before. But funny enough, someone is coming from another country as a contractor. Otoyopa the same Patsani my inputs and get their money back. But bank rimuno murira no Patsani anondinyudza. And of course vamwe some of these banks, I've seen one of the local banks, CBZ, which is the biggest funders of wheat and maize. Ukaenda ku LinkedIn profile kwao vane chini ngichavarisa sort of like an advert where they are saying to the vanhu vakambopa ma inputs kuti please pay up. It shows you kuti vasati vabhadhara even after vakohwa vakaharvesta vakatotengesa kunonga vanhu vasati vabhadhara zvikwereti. So you see, that's the challenge that we have in that sector.
Okay, just to rewind a bit, there's another contribution coming up from Getsman from Zimri Park here. And I'm also into tissue production, but Takuara Naoma imports have the likes of, I shall not mention the name of the product, that are being imported. Yeah, that are being imported. And Takura is famba now. And Takuara now, and the challenge in my local products at Dure is to get raw materials locally is very expensive than getting them from South Africa.
Yeah, that's true. We destroyed. We used to have, I think, my plantations. I mm-hmm. in terms
of plantations,
giving us paper and stuff like that. But I think we destroyed some of those, and we don't make paper. Bond paper. Bond paper. Atina capacity bond paper. So these are some of the things. You're going to import first, and then also manufacture. Now my raw materials in their country. Yeah.
All right, Kudzie, let's wrap it off. I've just been checking out on the media today, the print media, and I came across a story that's in the H Metro today. They report that businessman Shingi Munyeza sold his house and is now renting the same house. What lesson can be drawn from that one?
Thank you. As someone who speaks about investment, I want to look at it from that aspect. So Shingimias, I'm not sure about his age, but he's probably over 50. And he sold his house, reportedly sold his house, according to H Metro, for $625,000. $625,000. For example, if he doesn't use that money for anything else, $625,000 here, ne rent yakubhadhara $1,500 per month. He can pay that rent for 34 years. Achingobhadhara rent nemari yatengesa deniwe handiti. Or he can take that $625,000 or he invest as something. I'm sure for munhu akamboita business, yes, zvinodhanya zvom business, but kana wakamboita business with $625,000 unogona kungoinvesta in a business rinokwanisa kupa rent ye $1,500 or if not even more. And so he can invest that money. Although it's now risky with his age, it's now risky to go into business. But this is something that you can learn. In other countries, which can also help vanhu vakura. Kune vamwe vabereki vedu vana hauna hako vana vane dzimba dzavo vatogara kwavari. Iwo nedheni yako handiti kuGlenora or Glenview nedheni yako, but uri kutambura kuwana chikafu chekudya. Kune dzimwe nyika kune inonzi reverse mortgaging handiti, where you can sell your house but bengi rinenge richikubhadhara monthly, unoramba uchigara pamba ipapo, bengi richikubhadhara. So watengesera bengi, let's say for 30,000, bengi rinenge richikupa 1,000, maybe, let's say, I'm giving you an example, bengi rinenge richikupa $500 per month.
Okay.
Kusvikira rapedza kubhadhara imba iyoyo, then I'm sure kana yofunga kuti wakuma 60 years unogona kuita 30 years bengi richingokupa.
So in other words, the bank is renting to buy.
The bank is sort of like, yes, the bank is paying you in installments. And imba isisiri yako, but uchagara ipapo kusvikira bengi rapedza kubhadhara imba iyoyo. So you're getting $500 income every month. Saka wakutowana chekudya pekurara unapo pana kuti utambure chekudya imba uinayo. So the reverse mortgaging, it works in other countries very well.
But is it the same situation with the one that we were talking about in the story in the H Metro, where you sold your house but you're still paying the rent for the same house that you're staying?
For the same house, yes. So what you could have done is said, okay, if I get a lump sum money, I can invest in a business. And this business rarotanga kutondipa income. Unogona imagine I invest about 600,000 in a good business. Unogona kuwana profit per month 5,000. You take that 5,000, you pay rent 1,500. Imwe watosara nechange kuita other things. So it makes sense to me to do that.
Okay.
Aunga share capital hiyo ine imba. Shandisa, but you have to be very, very sure what you are investing in now. But with $600,000, I'm sure you can invest in a business, or even at least $2,000 per month as profit. Investor in. Yeah. Okay. He's a businessman. He has run big businesses.
Somebody has just commented saying that it's called what has happened to Shingiminyeza. It's called it's a sale-leaseback.
Sale-leaseback, yes.
Yeah.
And this one, it makes sense for me. Yeah.
All right.
Thank you. Do that. Because when I know opportunity, I'm not good at running. I'm not good at running companies. But if I was good at that, I would.
That does it for Business Focus for today. Thanks, Kudzie. We'll talk to you again tomorrow for some more enlightenment in the world of business. Thank you.
Business Focus with Kudzie Sharara on the Champions League Breakfast.